You smell smoke before you see anything. It's subtle at first, a faint, bitter edge riding the back of a warm afternoon breeze. You've been hiking for about 2 hours, and the trail ahead is quiet, beautiful even. Sunlight cuts through the pine canopy in long, golden beams. Your boots crunch over dry pine needles and cracked earth. You stop. The smell is stronger now. You scan the trees around you. Nothing, just forest. But the air feels different, heavy, wrong, like the moment before a storm, except there are no clouds, just that sky above the treetops, slowly, almost imperceptibly deepening from blue to a sickly, washed-out yellow. Then you notice the ash. A single flake drifts past your face like out-of-season snow, then another, then a dozen more spiraling down through the canopy in lazy silence. You hold out your hand, and a piece of gray ash lands in your palm and crumbles to dust. And then you hear it. Low at first, a deep rumbling vibration you feel in your chest before your ears register it. Like a freight train moving somewhere through the mountains, a sound that doesn't belong here. You look up through the treetops. The sky to the northeast is turning dark orange. You pull out your phone, 1 bar. You open your Maps app and watch the loading circle spin uselessly. You try to pinpoint your trail. 2 miles from the trailhead, no roads for at least a mile in any direction. The wind shifts. Where it was drifting softly through the trees before, it now pushes against you with sudden warmth. Not the pleasant warmth of a sunny afternoon. This is dry heat, sharp, aggressive, the kind that pulls the moisture right off your lips. Above you, the birds lose their minds. A flock of starlings explodes out of the canopy in a single panicked wave, their wings beating so fast it sounds like tearing paper. A doe and 2 spotted fawns sprint directly across the trail in front of you without even glancing your way. Then a second deer, then a rabbit, then nothing, because suddenly the forest is utterly, completely silent. No insects, no wind in the branches, no bird song, just that low, growing roar from somewhere beyond the ridge. You look northeast again, through the gaps between the pine trunks, miles away but unmistakable, a column of smoke rises into the sky. Not the thin white wisp of a campfire, but a massive, churning tower of gray and black, boiling upward like a thunderhead, spreading wide at the top into what firefighters call a pyrocumulus cloud, a storm cloud made entirely of smoke and superheated air. The ash is falling faster now. The ground at your feet is dusted white with it. A gust of wind tears through the trees, and riding on that gust, tumbling across the trail, is a single burning pine needle, still glowing orange at its tip. You start moving, fast. You haven't run 100 yards before the Ember Storm begins. It starts with a sound like rain, a dry, papery hissing as thousands of burning pine needles rain down through the canopy. They land in the dry grass at the edges of the trail, in the carpet of dead leaves between the roots, on the low-hanging branches of brush, and they catch. Small fires erupt around you, not 1, not 2, but dozens, popping into flame across the forest floor like someone flicking on lights in a dark room. The air fills instantly with white smoke and the sharp, resinous smell of burning pine. You run faster. The roaring grows louder, not from one direction anymore, but from everywhere above you. You look up just in time to see it, the crown fire. It moves through the tops of the trees like a living wave, faster than anything you've ever seen move in a forest. The canopy doesn't just burn, it explodes. The volatile oils and the pine needles ignite in great blossoming fireballs, and the superheated air carries the flames forward at a speed that makes your legs feel slow and useless. Tree after tree, crown after crown, a roaring cascade of orange and white traveling faster than a sprinting man, and it is moving toward you. The heat hits like opening an industrial oven, a sudden searing wall of radiant warmth from your left that makes you flinch and shield your face with your arm. The light around you shifts from gold to deep, pulsing orange. Shadows jump violently across the trunks as the fire races overhead. You run, but the fire runs faster. Behind you, a tree ignites with a sound like a thunderclap, a concussive boom as the sap inside flash heats to steam and the entire crown detonates in flame. A wave of hot air punches you forward and you stumble, your boots slipping on a mat of burning pine needles. You catch yourself and keep moving. Your throat burns, your eyes sting and stream. Ahead of you, the trail curves left. And through the trunks, maybe a quarter-mile away, you catch the faintest glimpse of something pale cutting through the forest. A dirt road. You run toward it. The smoke is the cruelest part. It thickens faster than the fire does. 1 minute you can see 30 yards ahead. The next, visibility drops to 10 feet. Then 5. Then you can barely make out the trail beneath your own boots. You pull your shirt up over your nose and mouth and breathe through the fabric. It helps, but only barely. Every breath still tastes like burning timber and hot ash, and your lungs seize with every inhale, demanding air that simply isn't there anymore. You slow down, not because you want to, but because you can't sprint blind through a burning forest. The wind has changed again. You feel it before you understand it, a sucking, pulling sensation, as if the air itself is being dragged backward toward the fire. That's exactly what's happening. A firestorm creates its own weather system. The heat causes air to rise violently, and the surrounding atmosphere rushes in to fill the vacuum. You are downwind of a fire so large it is manufacturing its own wind. You are walking into that wind. Burning branches crash down through the canopy, thudding into the ground around you with trails of glowing embers. One lands close enough that you feel the heat spike against the side of your face, and you stumble sideways off the trail, your shoulder hitting a trunk hard enough to spin you around. You stand still for half a second, disoriented, gasping, eyes streaming. Then you see a gap in the trees, gray light, the pale strip of the dirt road. You push toward it, crashing through brush, ducking under a low branch that is already smoldering at its tips, and you break out onto the road. It isn't wide, barely 2 vehicles across, but after the enclosed terror of the forest, it feels like stepping onto an open plain. You can see farther, you can breathe, slightly. You look left and right, trying to gauge direction. To the south, the road curves downhill, away from the smoke column. You start running south. The sky turns black. Not dark, black. The smoke column has spread across the entire sky above you, swallowing the sun completely. The only light comes from the forest itself, which glows and pulses orange through the trees on 3 sides. You are not outrunning the fire. You are inside it. The wind slams into you, a violent, unpredictable gust that spins in no single direction, 1 second pushing from the east, then a heartbeat later yanking hard from the north. The firestorm is so large and so hot that it is breaking down the normal flow of air entirely, creating a swirling, chaotic vortex of wind that changes direction every few seconds. Then you see it. 50 yards into the trees to your right, a column of spinning flame rises from the forest floor, a fire whirl, a fire tornado, 6 or 8 feet across and at least 40 feet tall, pulling burning debris from the ground and hurling it in spiraling arcs through the air. Burning branches spin through the sky above you. A piece of flaming bark the size of a textbook tumbles across the road and lands 3 feet from your left boot. The radiant heat is no longer something you feel on your skin. It is something that is cooking you from the inside out. Your exposed arms feel like they're sunburning in real time. The air you're breathing has been preheated. Every inhale is an act of will. You drop to your knees instinctively because the air at ground level is still several degrees cooler than the air at standing height. You press yourself flat against the dirt surface of the road, and that is when the main fire front arrives. You hear it before you see it, a roar so enormous it stops being a sound and becomes simply pressure, a wave of noise that erases everything else. Then the firewall appears at the north end of the road, a wall of flame 50 feet high and continuous, moving from tree line to tree line like a burning curtain being drawn across the world. It roars over the road. The air above you turns to fire. You press your face into the dirt, hands over the back of your head, eyes squeezed shut. The heat is indescribable. Not sharp, not burning, just an overwhelming, total, all-consuming pressure of heat that feels like being pressed inside a furnace. You pull every inch of yourself as flat and as close to the earth as possible. The sound is everything. And then, after 30 seconds that feel like 30 minutes, it begins to move past. The world doesn't go quiet when the fire front passes. It stays loud, a steady crackling, hissing roar from the trees on both sides, where the fire continues to burn through whatever fuel remains. But the main wave is gone. You lift your head. The road is still here. You are still here. You get to your feet slowly, coughing so hard your ribs ache with every heave. Your throat is raw meat. Your eyes are swollen nearly shut from the smoke and heat. But you can see, not well, not far, but enough. To your left, through the burning trees, you can make out a patch of ground that looks different, darker, flatter. A section of forest where the fire has already moved through and burned itself out, leaving charred trunks and black earth. Burned ground, no fuel left to burn. You move toward it, ducking under the fence of low flames at the road's edge, pushing through a gap between 2 smoldering trunks. The earth under your boots is hot, not through your soles yet, but warm in a way that makes each step urgent. Around you, trees that still have some moisture in them hiss and spit steam. A few continue to burn in isolated columns of flame, but the ground itself is black and barren. You collapse to your knees in the middle of it. You cough for a long time, then you just breathe. The smoke is still everywhere, but the main column is moving south now, following the fire front. You can see slightly farther. The orange glow around you is dimming, not gone, but receding. You are alive. You sit there in the black dirt, in the stillness of a forest that has already burned, and you wait. From the burned clearing, you watch the fire. The forest to the north, The forest you walked out of 2 hours ago, the beautiful, quiet, sun-dappled trail, is a wall of flame and smoke from the ground to the sky. Entire ridge lines are on fire. The smoke column towers thousands of feet into the atmosphere, spreading at its peak into that enormous anvil-shaped pyrocumulus cloud, generating its own lightning, its own wind, its own weather. It is one of the most terrifying things you have ever seen. And you realize, sitting there in the ash, that every warning had been given. The smell of smoke when there was nothing to see. The ash falling from a clear sky. The animals fleeing, not wandering, not trotting, but fleeing in a panic that knew something your rational mind was still trying to calculate. The wind growing hotter. The sky changing color, the ember on the trail. Every single one of those signs came before the fire arrived. Every single one of them said, "Leave." And every minute spent watching, wondering, confirming, every minute spent hoping it wasn't as bad as it looked, was a minute the fire used to cut off another exit. This is what wildfire survivors say over and over in the aftermath. I wish I had left sooner. Not when the smoke was visible, not when the ash started falling, not when the animals ran. Sooner than that, at the first smell, at the first wrong feeling in the air, before certainty. Because by the time a wildfire looks dangerous, it is almost certainly already too late to leave safely. If you smell smoke in a forest on a dry, windy day, leave. If you see ash falling from a sky with no visible fire, leave. If the birds disappear and the animals run and the wind turns hot, leave immediately, without hesitation, and don't look back. In a wildfire, hesitation is the thing that kills you. The camera pulls back. The burned clearing grows small. Around it, on all sides, the mountain continues to burn. Towering flame, churning smoke. A fire so large it is visible from space. Somewhere in the middle of it, a small figure sits in a circle of black earth. And the fire keeps spreading.